Here's a sentence that makes Star Wars fans furious, and I don't care. The sequel trilogy understood Star Wars better than the fandom did. And no, that doesn't mean every decision was perfect. It means the ideas were right, and a lot of fans refused to hear them. Star Wars was never about preserving the past forever. It was about letting go of it. That's not my opinion. That's literally what the story keeps telling us. The original trilogy wasn't about how cool the Jedi were. It was about how they failed. The prequels weren't about epic lightsaber spins. They were about how tradition, pride, and fear destroyed the Jedi from the inside. So when the sequels show a broken galaxy, a fallen hero, and a Jedi Order that didn't magically fix everything, that's not betrayal. That's consistency. But the fandom didn't want consistency. They wanted comfort. They wanted Luke Skywalker frozen in time. Wise, untouchable, perfect. They wanted the Jedi to be right again without questioning why they fell. The sequels said no. Heroes get tired, legends crack, and myths can rot if you worship them instead of learning from them. And people lost their minds. Luke in The Last Jedi isn't weak, he's honest. He tried to rebuild the Jedi exactly the way they were, and almost caused another disaster. So he stepped away. Not because he was scared, but because he finally understood something the fandom refuses to accept. The Jedi Order was flawed. That doesn't ruin Star Wars. That is Star Wars. Now let's talk about Rey, because that's where the rage really lives. Rey doesn't come from nobility. She doesn't have a destiny handed to her by prophecy. She survives. She adapts. She learns fast because she has to. And instead of asking why that fits Star Wars perfectly, people screamed Mary Sue and stopped thinking. Funny how a slave kid flying a starfighter at 9 years old is classic Star Wars, but a scavenger learning through instinct suddenly breaks the universe. The sequels understood something simple. The Force isn't a bloodline reward system. It never was. The fandom turned Star Wars into a family tree. The sequels tried to turn it back into a belief. That's why people hated it. The sequels also dared to say something Star Wars fans hate hearing. The past doesn't deserve automatic respect. Snoke is killed early. The old Jedi texts are questioned. Kylo Ren literally says, "Let the past die." And instead of asking why the story was saying that, fans panicked. Because Star Wars stopped being a story to them and became an identity. And when a story challenges your identity, you don't critique it. You attack it. The sequel trilogy didn't misunderstand Star Wars. It understood it too well. It understood that Star Wars is about cycles. Rise, fall, repeat. It understood that heroes aren't gods. They're people who make mistakes. It understood that nostalgia is powerful and dangerous. And most of all, it understood that Star Wars can't survive if it only exists to make the same people comfortable forever. That's the part the fandom failed. Instead of watching the movies, they watched reactions. Instead of thinking, they repeated talking points. Instead of arguing themes, they argued vibes. The sequels weren't perfect, but neither were the originals. And pretending otherwise isn't love, it's denial. If the sequel trilogy made you angry, good. Star Wars is supposed to challenge you. And if that bothers you more than bad dialogue or messy pacing ever could, then maybe the movies weren't the problem.